So hello everyone, this is JoVon Lachey. Welcome to the JoVon Lachey Show. Today we're going to be talking about the Russel Simmons Harriet Tubman Sex Tape that was released earlier this week and has been the talk of the internet ever since. Remember that you can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Tumblr, and you can also follow me right here on YouTube at JoVon Lachey. J-O-V as in Victor, O-N-L-A-C-H-E-Y. So let us start talking about this Russel Simmons debacle that has happened over this past week. Okay, so early on in his career, Russel Simmons, he displayed a curious interest in comedy by producing the popular HBO series Def Comedy Jam. All of us of a certain age, and thanks to the internet, you're able to go on and view the gem that was Def Comedy Jam and how many doors that opened up for many of the comedians that we see today in very high profile positions. One that comes to mind for me would be Steve Harvey, who now is a Hollywood movie producer, has his own syndicated radio television show, and he's just a media mogul in his own right now. And he got some of his start at the Def Comedy Jam that was created by Russel Simmons. We also know that Russel Simmons is a philanthropist, that he gives a lot of his money that he has earned to various charitable foundations, and that he is an entrepreneur, most notably known for starting Def Jam Records that presents countless of the hip-hop artists and R&B artists that we all know and we love. He became very influential in the late 80s and all the way through the 1990s. The Def Comedy Jam show was a staple for aspiring comedians. His latest comedy efforts, although, has offended many due to the negative portrayal of the icon that we know as Harriet Tubman. So earlier this week, Simmons, he launched a new YouTube channel called All Def Digital. He posted a parody on that site called the Harriet Tubman Sex Tape, which depicts the iconic former slave and freedom fighter secretly recording her sexual relations with Massa in an attempt to blackmail him. So the 3-minute video clip has since prompted a change.org petition, and has caused many critics to demand an apology from Russel Simmons. And in addition to the removal of the clip, so people want an apology for this. Simmons, he responded to the backlash on his website, Global Grind. So Global Grind is another one of his successful efforts that a lot of people go and get a lot of their news from in today's contemporary society. So Russell, he did release a statement and a quote-unquote apology about the Harriet Tubman Sex Tape that released in reason part. In the whole history of Def Comedy Jam, I've never taken down a controversial comedian. When my buddies from the NAACP called and asked me to take down the Harriet Tubman video from the All Def Digital YouTube channel, and I apologized, I agreed. And this is what his apology says. He says, "I am a very liberal person with thick skin. My first impression of the Harriet Tubman piece was that it was about what one of the actors said in the video, that 162 years later, there's still tremendous injustice, and with Harriet Tubman outwitting the slave master. I thought it was politically correct. Silly me. I can now understand why so many people are upset. I have taken down the video. Lastly, I would never condone violence against women in any form, and for all of those I offended, I am sincerely sorry." So now, is it me, or does this apology doesn't seem genuine? It just does not seem genuine to me at all. It actually seems fake, it seems forced, and the wording is slightly patronizing to his audience. To present this video as a comedy is extremely disrespectful, and it's actually very unintelligent. So Russell, you may want to get some new creative people on your team to help you with launching All Def Digital and coming up with some very creative pieces and not ones that are disrespectful. There are numerous ways that Harriet Tubman's struggle and her fight and her legacy could have been satired, without stooping as low as to degrade this iconic woman in such a sexual manner. So then Simmons also says that he is a liberal with thick skin, but this is the type of stunt that I would expect from someone on the very far right, and I would expect that to come from someone like that, like an ideologue on the very far right, and they would think that something like this would be funny, but not someone like Russel Simmons. I mean, to say that what stood out to him the most in the video was when the actress who portrayed Harriet Tubman said there are still tremendous injustices 162 years later, is not something that we in contemporary times do not fully understand. We understand that there are injustices still, and that's not anything new. We do not live in a post-racial or all this post things that people think we live in. We understand that things are still unfair and that there are lots of injustices in the world. Harriet Tubman, she even knew that back in the 1800s, and that's why she fought tooth and nail to bring freedom and justice to as many people as she possibly could. And then for him to think initially that the video was politically correct was 100% incorrect. Simmons, being the influential power player that he is, and being a man of a certain age, an African American man at that of a certain age, should have known better than to present this piece for mass consumption. I mean, did he not have final approval over what goes out on All Def Digital? Did he not see the finished product before it was actually uploaded to the YouTube channel? There's so many questions there, and there were so many opportunities for someone to say, you know what, this is disrespectful. We're not even going to put this out. We're not going to disrespect this woman's legacy like this. So who was Harriet Tubman? We're going to talk about the real Harriet Tubman, not this woman that Russel Simmons portrayed in this 3-minute quote-unquote sex tape. Harriet Tubman, she escaped from slavery in 1849. She was an abolitionist, a humanitarian, and a Union Army spy during the Civil War. She led over 300 slaves to freedom via the Underground Railroad, and Harriet Tubman was the first woman to lead an armed expedition in an American war. And she was an early leader in women's rights and women's voting rights. So this woman was the forerunner for a lot of the civil rights, a lot of the women's rights that we enjoy today in 2013. And again, for her to be disrespected in the way that she was is totally, completely unacceptable. So why would such a notable person, not only in the black community, but an icon in the entertainment industry, use these slave-era stereotypes to insult the sacrificial work and the legacy of a woman who believed so much in the rights and freedoms of all that she went and risked her own life? You may want to know what these slave-era stereotypes that I'm referring to are. The mentioned stereotypes that's used in the Simmons video, they are used in a contemporary fashion to allegedly convey comedy. So I just have two of them here. The one that is blatantly obvious to me is the over-sexualizing of black women and black women using sex as a weapon. So this one is the Jezebel stereotype. So Jezebel is a well-known representation of black women in popular culture. The idea of the black woman as a Jezebel dates all the way back to the 17th century. And it was supported, unfortunately, by pseudoscientific observations on the black female body, specifically her protruding buttocks, which a lot of women are paying good money for nowadays to get a big old booty, and their hanging genitalia, which was very animalistic to me, and that was said to prove that black women were by nature promiscuous people. Now, in correlation with the presumption that this type of woman is promiscuous, she is portrayed as a vixen in modern times or in contemporary times. So all of these video vixens that we see and these reality stars that we see who so desperately flaunt their sexuality, they could be considered fitting the Jezebel stereotype. And she's portrayed as a vixen nowadays, and she's desirable to all men. Just a few people in contemporary times and a couple years or a couple decades before these times would be Halle Berry, Josephine Baker, and even Beyonce. They're all examples of this type of character because they all have portrayed themselves as sexual objects, either by the way of provocative dance or nudity. So the Jezebel stereotype and those who have played up to it has reaped benefits for some women, but this is a constant stereotype, a negative stereotype that's played up and applied to women who that necessarily does not apply to. So how does he use this in a contemporary term? So the use of the sex tape to gain leverage for your own personal gain, it is so commonplace in today's entertainment industry. We have seen countless pseudo-celebrities, these fake celebrities, people who absolutely have no type of discernible talent, purposely film and release sex tapes as a means to generate buzz and to generate income and to have their names all across the internet and even in the mainstream media. In general conversation, you will hear people speak about the latest sex tape that has been released and the phenomenon that it has become as a means to garner the average person some type of celebrity. Those who release these tapes can go on to star in these reality shows and endorse products, and they are making big bucks from this. So Simmons, he uses this phenomenon to disrespect one of the most revered women in American history, not just in black history, but in American history. You can't open up any history book and not find Harriet Tubman represented there, and you really can't say her name without most people knowing who she is and being able to speak even if just about a few of her accomplishments in a positive way. So the second stereotype that I saw there, second slave area stereotype that I saw, was that this actress in this video who is playing quote-unquote Harriet Tubman, she actually is fitting the Mammy stereotype. So she looks like what we would refer to as a Mammy. And in real life, Harriet Tubman did not fit the Mammy stereotype at all. Historically, the Mammy is a common portrayal of black women in popular culture as well. She is akin to the matriarch figure because she is also big and her skin is typically dark. The Mammy figure is often associated with a popular brand of food items. One that we know is Aunt Jemima, and one that is currently playing on TV is the woman who's acting in those Popeyes chicken commercials. That, yeah, honey, come on down, get this chicken. That is a Mammy figure as well. So that places Mammy into a homemaker, and she is usually associated with the matriarch. However, the Mammy figure does differ from the matriarch in many ways because of her personality traits. Mammy is usually very docile. She is not what she is without wisdom. So Mammy is oftentimes viewed as being unintelligent. And she's also just blissfully happy all the time. And she's just so content with being in a subordinate, servile position. And she actually embraces her role as such. The Mammy figure, of course, has recently received new attention in the last couple years, particularly when The Help was released and so many people were upset about The Help. But I believe that's another video topic as well that we can get into and talk about some of the stereotypes that apply to black females as well as black men. So for this woman who's portraying this stereotypical fictional Harriet Tubman to embrace the Jezebel and also the Mammy stereotypes is totally inaccurate. We all know that Harriet Tubman was far from being a Mammy and far from being a Jezebel. Harriet Tubman, she actually bucked authority and she had the ability to think for herself, so she had to be extremely intelligent to lead as many slaves as she did to freedom. So in conclusion, I just want to say that Russel Simmons may need to think outside of the box and come up with some other type of apology or some other type of way to repent for this egregious thing that he has done to depict a revered icon as such in such a manner as to put her in a sex tape. I've spoken to some people about the tape, some older people and also some people in my own age category, and they were extremely upset. A lot of people say they didn't even click on to the video because the Harriet Tubman sex tape. When I first saw it come across my Twitter feed, I thought it was some type of hoax. I thought it was, somebody trying to be funny, but then come to find out it was a real thing there. I think that we do need to move away from a lot of these stereotypes in many ways, but then there are some of these stereotypes that we actually need to reclaim, because I feel that some of them we feel ashamed of, and there really is no reason to be ashamed of some of the stereotypes that have been put upon us. But to use them in this fashion and to use them in such an overtly sexual way is totally incorrect. So let's meet back here. Remember to like this video. Also comment on this video, whether you like what I'm saying here, whether you disagree with what I'm saying here. Let's talk about it. Let's generate some conversation about this here. Remember that you can follow me on Twitter. You can also follow me on Tumblr and right here on YouTube at JoVon Lachey. So until the next time, I am JoVon Lachey. Thank you for watching and enjoy.